Welcome to Africa Premium News, your front row seat to Africa's power, progress, and truth. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and turn on the bell, because here, you don't just watch the news, you witness history unfold. Something historic is happening right now on the African continent. A transformation that could redefine how the world sees Africa, not as a region of dependency, but as the driving force of the global clean energy transition. For decades, Africa's story was told through the lens of aid and debt, but that narrative is being rewritten by Africans themselves. The African Development Bank, AFDB, has pledged $2 billion to expand access to clean cooking and renewable energy across the continent. This is not just a development initiative, it's a geopolitical shift. It signals that Africa is no longer waiting for the world's approval to take control of its own energy future. Announced in early 2025 at the Access to Clean Cooking Summit, this pledge marks one of the most ambitious clean energy programs in the continent's history. The plan is to bring modern cooking solutions to over 200 million people who currently rely on firewood and charcoal, while also advancing renewable power infrastructure that cuts emissions, saves forests, and improves health outcomes. Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, president of the African Development Bank, described the decision as a moral and economic revolution. His statement reflected a deeper truth. Africa's energy destiny must be designed by Africans, and it must be sustainable. The message was clear. The days of depending on Western and Eastern loans for every major energy project are fading. Africa is now funding Africa. The numbers behind this pledge tell a powerful story. Africa holds 60% of the world's best solar resources, but currently generates only about 1% of global solar power. That gap is not a weakness. It's the continent's greatest opportunity. With projects like Egypt's Benban Solar Park, Kenya's Lake Turkana Wind Project, and South Africa's renewable energy transition, Africa is quietly building a clean power grid that rivals those of established industrial nations. This $2 billion clean cooking program is only part of a broader $20 billion framework under AFDB's New Deal on Energy for Africa. The ultimate goal: universal access to electricity by 2030. This initiative will not only bring light to homes and power to schools, but also fuel industries and create millions of jobs. Rural regions that have waited decades for modern energy access are about to experience rapid transformation. Rwanda and Ghana are already piloting carbon credit markets that turn environmental progress into economic growth. Nigerian startups are building solar microgrids that power small towns without relying on costly national grids. Ethiopian cooperatives, many of them women-led, are manufacturing solar cookers locally, empowering communities through energy independence. This movement is not just environmental, it's strategic. As the United States, China, and the European Union compete for access to critical clean energy minerals, Africa holds the cards. The continent is home to vast reserves of cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements, which are essential for batteries, electric vehicles, and solar technologies. By investing in clean energy and modern cooking systems, Africa strengthens its leverage in global trade and climate diplomacy. The $2 billion pledge represents more than money. It represents a shift in power. Africa is no longer the passive recipient of global climate aid. It is becoming an active leader in defining the terms of the world's green transition. International analysts have begun calling this the green power pivot, where Africa evolves from resource supplier to clean tech producer. The ripple effects are already visible. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund have recognized the initiative as a model for sustainable financing. The United Nations has hailed it as a milestone for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. European and Asian investors are taking note, forming new partnerships with African energy startups not as donors, but as equals. Behind these headlines, millions of lives will change. Across Senegal, innovative engineers are building high-efficiency stoves that cut emissions by up to 80%. In Nigeria, microgrids powered by local solar panels are replacing noisy, polluting diesel generators. In Tanzania and Uganda, local entrepreneurs are creating supply chains for clean fuels like biogas and ethanol, generating income while improving health outcomes. The shift from firewood to clean fuels will prevent millions of premature deaths linked to indoor air pollution. It will also reduce deforestation, helping nations meet their climate commitments while protecting biodiversity. This is development that works on every level: social, environmental, and economic. The global implications are profound. As Africa transitions to clean energy, it positions itself as a new center of innovation in the 21st century energy economy. The continent's abundant sun, wind, and hydropower resources give it a natural advantage in building a renewable infrastructure that the rest of the world increasingly depends on. The AFDB's initiative is also transforming how international institutions engage with Africa. Instead of offering aid packages tied to political conditions, global partners are being invited into mutually beneficial investment frameworks. Africa's clean energy sector is becoming a trillion-dollar opportunity, and investors are racing to participate. This momentum is supported by the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, which is opening borders for trade in energy technologies, reducing tariffs, and strengthening regional collaboration. With unified energy policies and cross-border power grids, Africa could achieve full energy access and become a net exporter of clean technologies by 2040. Africa's transformation is not theoretical, it's visible on the ground. In Morocco, the Noor Ouarzazate solar complex already ranks among the largest concentrated solar plants in the world. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, plans for the Inga Dam could make it the largest hydroelectric project on the planet. Across Kenya, Rwanda, and South Africa, electric mobility startups are manufacturing affordable electric motorcycles, buses, and charging stations, all powered by renewable energy. The continent is building its own version of the green economy, one that is inclusive, homegrown, and resilient. The AFDB's $2 billion commitment is both symbolic and practical. It marks the moment when Africa decided to lead its own narrative in global energy politics. This leadership extends beyond economics. It represents a moral statement about the future of humanity's relationship with the planet. While developed nations debate emissions targets, Africa is demonstrating that sustainability and growth can go hand in hand. Foreign observers are beginning to understand the scale of what is happening. Financial Times analysts describe Africa as the sleeping energy giant finally waking up. Bloomberg calls the AFDB plan a global model for equitable clean energy financing. Even the International Energy Agency now forecasts that Africa could supply up to 25% of the world's solar power by 2050 if current trends continue. What makes this even more powerful is the spirit behind it. This movement is being driven not by fear or dependency, but by vision, a vision of self-reliance, innovation, and shared prosperity. The narrative of a helpless Africa is being replaced by a story of strength, unity, and leadership. The future energy superpower may not be the United States, China, or Europe. It could be Africa, the continent with the youngest population, the fastest-growing markets, and the richest renewable potential. The African Development Bank's $2 billion Clean Cooking Initiative is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one where Africa powers its own destiny and, in doing so, powers the world. Africa is no longer waiting for permission to lead. It already is. This is African Premium News, where Africa speaks for itself. Don't miss a story that matters. Click subscribe, ring that bell, and stay ahead of the headlines. Africa's future starts right here.